So I was driving the other day, and there was a wasp that I was actually talking to Josh. Yeah, I was talking to Josh on the phone. There's a wasp, and we were not going really that fast. We had I just came to a stop, and the wasp came to my passenger window and just kind of sat there, like just behind the mirror. So there was enough wind as I moved, like the wasp couldn't fly away, but it was safe from where we were going. And I'm going
outside the truck.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Clarify. Wasp was outside the truck. Okay. And so I was driving, and this little wasp was just kind of chilling. And I was just thinking how much of a mind fuck that would be to just be like, I drove for like 15 to 20 miles per hour for the next 3 hours. Like when the wasp finally flew away, be like, the fuck how did I get here? You know, could you imagine just being like, just chilling like that? I don't know. I put myself thinking like, you know, his whole family like like kind of depends on whether or not he brings back food. You know, like some pollen or whatever. I don't know what wasps eat, but I assume pollen. And then all of a sudden, it's like Daddy left us. Like Daddy went on a long vacation and never came back. You know, like somebody was like, "Well, yeah, I've had a lizard do that," but I feel like lizards are okay because of the fact that like they can just kind of like jump out and like live in a bush somewhere. They don't have like a little nest. Like the wasp like is a family unit. It's just like your grandmother leaving and never coming back. You know? I assume it was a grandma wasp, but I don't know.
Dementia.
yeah. It's like,
where am I?
Yeah. How did I get on this tundra?
Where do I find that nest? I have no clue where it's at.
So anyway.
Speaking of nesting places, I hope you got a nice spot to relax and enjoy this episode 6 of the Tailblazers.
That's a lucky number.
Woohoo! Here we go. Episode 6. 6 is a lucky number.
Every number is a lucky number when it's the Tailblazers.
Yeah, for sure. That's what I'm talking about. So that's awesome. So anyways, our past episode was an episode of my adventures that we had on our hiatus for a little bit of vacation with family and friends. Well, mainly family. Because
I wasn't there. I definitely wasn't there.
I wasn't there with you either. So it's definitely just family on both accounts. So, but over this episode, we're going to talk about where Aaron has been, what he's been doing, what he's been drinking, what he's been cooking, what he's been eating. Who knows? But we'll find out later.
But first, let me introduce something. As always, Jeff LeBlanc has provided the beer for us tonight to try. And this is actually a fan request. We try and
not a fan request.
We asked, yes, yeah, we've had a fan ask for sour. And
I bought this before they requested it.
Well, you didn't have to tell them. They could have thought we did this all for them. Well, anywhoozer, take that, fans. Anyway, we got a Call Me Maurice hopped sour. So I'm interested to see what that's got. It's got this dude riding a peach. I bet he's making it 8 seconds. 7.1 alcohol per volume. And this is crafted in Maryland. And it's by Dewclaw. And I
think this is like our second or third Dewclaw beer as well.
Yeah. I definitely don't like the word Dewclaw. That's a side note. And you'll really love our peaches. So
how do you say that above that? Can you just say that for everybody above it? Where the saying above it, where you just said you'll really love our peaches.
Peachatus of love. Peaches.
I like it.
What is it?
I don't know. You're saying it great. Peachatus of love in a glass. I don't know.
What is a peachatus?
Hold off the tongue. I don't know.
Are we supposed to know?
No. But I did look up how would you pronounce Maurice?
Maurice?
And I wanted to make sure this is called Maurice and not Morris. But a lot of people say it both ways. So there you go. But I'm gonna say call me Maurice.
What is it supposed to be? Maurice?
Yeah, it's supposed to be Maurice. But a lot of people do it both. Because I had a great uncle, his name was Morris, but he spelled it different. So that's why I just wanted to say. Are you in your glass?
Yeah, man.
Nice, man. I switched mine up this time.
Oh.
I got a nice mug.
With Goofy on it?
I've had this mug since elementary school.
Nice.
We're going strong with me, man.
Elementary school was drinking beer back in the day. I hear you.
And this should go back to my favorite Disney character that Aaron got wrong.
Goofy, yeah. Well, it's actually funny. My child wanted to wear one of my shirts, and she's like, I gave her one the other day, and so she was like, I want to wear Daddy's shirt, so I gave her a Goofy shirt. Interesting enough, maybe I should have given it to you.
You have a Goofy shirt?
Nice, yeah, man.
I like it.
Kelly's mom bought it for me. So
nice. It is definitely clear. There is no haze to it at all.
It almost looks like a light ale.
Yeah,
almost. like a
almost kind of like a Pilsner in a way.
I keep trying to sip on this. Do I get the okay to sip on this?
Yeah. Okay. Cheers, bro. Cheers.
Yeah. Cheers, my imaginary glass.
Oh, it smells good. I like it. I like the way it smells.
Huh.
It almost smells like a candy.
I know exactly what it tastes like too. I'm gonna wait. Okay, I'm gonna go.
I like it though.
Yeah, I do too. You know what it tastes like to me? You ever had those like there's like you go to the candy store when you were little and they had the like little circles that looked like a peach and then one bottom was white and the other top was peach.
Yes,
that's exactly. Yeah, it was a gummy. That's what this tastes like.
Yes, that's what the smell reminded me of because I was like, that smells like candy.
Maybe just a tad more bitter, like sour. But this is a drinkable.
Yeah, but this isn't really that sour though.
No, it's not. Oh, definitely not compared to other
sours.
Other sours we've had, yeah, for sure. This tastes just like that gummy.
I can definitely drink this though.
Yeah,
you can taste the peach. I like the peach flavor. I think that's very good. What's up, Charlie?
I think somebody's sneaking up on you.
Yeah, it was Charlie. I can't see her, but that's my dog, Charlie. She's a good girl. She's an old girl.
I'm sure my child will be
wrong everywhere. But anyways, back to the beer. I like the way it smells. It's a smell that's a welcoming smell. So it brings you closer to the beer and makes you want to stay with it longer.
Yeah. So that is it's really good. I really like it.
I do.
I could
I'm
drink
not really the bitter notes in it as much, but I think maybe that's what toned it down to be a drinkable sour, unlike other sours that we've had. It's not getting in the back of your jaw, but I like it. It's enjoyable. It's definitely a sipper too. It's not like one of those beers that are like, oh, it's refreshing, I'm gonna chug this thing. Yeah. It's definitely a nice sipper. You can get all the notes and taste buds in there, and you all react very well.
I could easily drink another one.
Yeah, well, I'll let you know when I get through to this one, but I agree. I would definitely put this in my cooler if I was going somewhere, if it was hot. I think it would be a refreshing beer on a hot day. Yeah,
I could probably drink this, not consistently, but definitely could see myself at a beach. Like having one or two, before I went out or something, for sure, 100%. Am I going to be outside cutting the grass, coming to it? I don't know about that. Maybe. I doubt it, but...
I think it's definitely a place of relaxation to have a beer when it's hot.
Yeah, this is the kind of beer that this is the kind of beer that I think Grandma Wasp would enjoy. I'm just saying.
Oh yeah. I like it. I like how you brought Wasp back in there.
Yeah,
I
never forget.
She's right over here. Maurice, where are you
at? But anyway, that's good stuff, man. I really like that beer. One of the most unique ones I've had in. This is probably one of my favorites that I've had, actually, because it's different than what I normally drink. So all the other ones have tendencies to taste similar, but this one in itself different.
Sorry, I interrupted.
No, you're good. I'm just saying this one's different, but I like it a lot.
So. Yeah, I'd have to say I think this one and that what was it, that Mexican hot something that we had, the brown ale, the Mexican hot chocolate brown ale that we had. And it had that spicy note, so it was a lot different of a brown ale than I ever had before. It was a lot different. And I'd say this one and that one going par with me as far as uniqueness and everything that we've tried so far as well. And I have to say, I think that one was Dew Claw as well. So we've definitely dabbed in the Dew Claw brewery for those. So yeah, it was pretty good beer. So anyways, Aaron, what have you been doing on your hiatus lately?
Well, I had to go to Mississippi. And when I say I had to, it was actually for work. So we went to Mississippi, and we went to Biloxi in particular in Mississippi.
Yeah.
And so we stayed in the beginning of our trip there. We had a conference, and we stayed at a really nice casino, the Beau Rivage, and they call it the Beau. So a really interesting fact to know: when you get in the Uber and you book your place at the casino, and the guy gets in, oh, you're going to the Beau? He's got a heck of an accent. I'm like, huh? Oh, it just so happens the guy from Mississippi who picked me up in Gulfport, which is where we land, happened to be from Canada. So he had like, hey there, like it was just way off. Like it was throwing me way off. I'm like, what?
From Canada or Louisiana?
He was from Canada, then somehow came somewhere in the United States, somewhere mid plains, I guess, and then came to Biloxi and really liked it, so he stayed here. But he's like, oh, you go to the Beau? That's what he said. I'm like, the what? No, I don't think so. Like, I'm trying to, the whole like time I'm trying to pout, it's B, EAU. I don't know what, it's like Beau Rivage. It's clearly not a Southern lingo there. So I was like trying to make sure. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that's not how I pronounce it. But anyway, so it's like, I'm like, no, I'm actually going to the Beau Rivage. He's like, yeah, that's what we call it. The Beau. I was like, what? So anyway, that threw me off there first, but we got down there.
How do you spell that though? The Beau Rivage?
Gosh, why'd you ask me? Anywho, let me
how do you spell Mississippi?
It's BEAU, and then it's RIVAGE, Rivage.
Gotcha.
So I guess it's probably got a French influence, probably, I assume.
Yeah,
it's pretty close. But so go to the hotel, man. It's a MGM like franchise, like I don't know, franchise, whatever it is, like part of that group. MGM, like big casinos. In Las Vegas. So this is it's a nice museum. And when I first land and get there, I don't really pay attention to a lot. Keep in mind that it took me like 10 hours to get out there, because it just so happened that I got on the plane, it was broken. They got off that plane, got on another plane, and that plane broke. We got back on the original plane that, fixed it. And I remember the guy in the plane when, they said, oh, we're going to call a mechanic out to fix the plane. And I was like, oh, okay, there's mobile mechanics. Like, that's cool. Kind of like a mobile boat guy, I guess, but for planes. And the guy's like, yeah, he's about 30 to 45. Right, yeah. He said he's about 30 or 45 minutes away. And so, like, in my head, I took Columbia, South Carolina, and I took a circle from West Columbia, particularly, and drew my mind out in 30 to 45 minutes. And I was like, this guy could be, like, Country Bumpkin coming out here to fix this plane. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of possibility. There's a lot of rural area in that mileage or minutes away, So I was like, interesting. And so...
He just pulls up next to the plane in this big old dually with toolboxes in the back. He's like, yeah, what's wrong with this thing?
It's kind of what I expected a little bit. And so anyway, I did get to peek at the guy. And so he looked, I don't know, like normal dude, I guess. And he fixed the plane and we got back on it. So
don't all dudes look normal?
It looks like looks like a dude to me that had a credibility to fix a plane. And I think that's what I was looking at. I did not need a guy rolling up.
Mechanic.
I imagined a typical plane mechanic would look. Yeah, I think so. He was well put together. He didn't look like, if he'd come up in a half, like a straw hat that had been beaten, I might have been a little like, are you sure this plane's in good hands kind of thing. But anyway, he seemed like he was qualified to do it. And, it's interesting as well. I know I digress. But as I sit on that plane, I realized that my wife, we had to replace her engine one day. It was an old used car when we first got married. So we bought a used engine, had it done. And I noticed the mechanic fixed it, did really well. But what he did before he got us back into that car was he actually did a test drive. So he drove the car around, hit the brakes, made sure it, revved up, made through all the gears and everything like that. And I realized for an airplane, we were the test drive. There was no let's run it around once, let's turn it on and see it. No. Literally the test drive after this dude fixes the plane, because the computer of the system, the brain of the airplane was not working. This was going to be the test drive, see if we could stay up in 34,000 feet or not. That was just the sketchiest thing I've ever thought. I was like, let's just take everybody down, but whatever. So I make it. I was exhausted. And I was hoping to do more when we got to that hotel from that trip because of, just flight delays and everything. But got there. It was really.
Do you think? Let me hold you up before we get off too much from the mechanic thing. But you know how the cars have that little light that shines, and says you got alerts. You got a problem, right?
Yeah.
Well, do you think they just let that baby shine all day, or do you think they get actually get coming in there to Because usually, if it's in a car and you know what it is, usually put a piece of little black tape over it or something where you can't see it or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like this little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. You think they think that all day or something?
I assume that somebody knew. You know how like mechanics know how to cut it off. I assume this guy. I assume the
clear
pilot.
The code, Willie.
I assume the pilot got there. He's like 2 rudders to the right, 1 yoke back, and 3 pushes of the bleed the fuel valve. I think that's what he did. But yeah,
he did an old cheat code from PlayStation.
Right,
left,
yeah.
right, back.
Plain is good.
Go.
So anyway, the actual place was really nice. And we were right there before the 4th of July. So and that's relevant for this is that we stayed there for a few days for the conference and everything like that. And then I was going to stay a little bit longer in that particular hotel. The rooms went to $500 a night. It was $400 and then it went to $500.
GM.
Yeah, I was like, man, probably don't care about it that much. So we did go book another room. But while we were in that, it was really good. I mean, the casino was really nice. It was kept up. If you like casinos and you like gambling in a decent environment, I thought that place was really good. It was a little expensive. I played roulette one time. They didn't have any like $5 tables. It was 15 was the minimum, so that was kind of like a bummer. I don't really want to play 15, but it was good. That experience was really good. But
so how much talking about casinos? How much did you win, lose, break even?
I lost everything that I betted. The first morning of the conference, the first day of the conference was later that afternoon. I was already there, so I flew down a day early. I got up early in the morning. I had to do a presentation, so I was preparing for that. So I got up pretty early, like I normally would, to go to work. I went downstairs. I got a coffee, and then I went to the casino and I went to the roulette table. And I said, well, I'm going to see how my day is going to go, and bet 15 on red. I lost it, and I was like, yep, that's going to be the day, and proceeded to leave. So that was for that casino. And that's all I did. That's all we really did there. We didn't really go play the casino or didn't do any slots or did anything. It just wasn't.
And that was at the
MGM.
Bar?
Yeah, that was at the MGM Bower Bars. And the part for me, I think, was that I didn't have any of my friends there. It might have been different if I had like a bunch of people there. But at that time, I was by myself. It was interesting because that was at like 8 o'clock in the morning. And there were people just smoking, man. They were just smoking like, I mean, they must have been there all night.
They allowed smoking in there?
Oh yeah, it was bad.
Yeah.
If you like smoking, it was good, but if you like to smell it, you don't like to smell it wasn't so great. But yeah, so they were out there like just playing the slots or like eyes or like bag. I'm like, these people have been out here all night, man. They've been out here all night, old as anything. Just like, I don't know, man. But anyway, that's their life.
Come on, honey, let's get down there.
It's interesting though. I did notice that a lot of them kind of felt like they were by themselves, and here I was complaining. Friends, really? Yeah, like, or I didn't see a lot of people. They just kind of sit there and I don't know, different lifestyle than me. So at that point, really didn't get to experience a lot of Biloxi had to offer because I was busy with the conference. But we did, as I said a second ago, we did go to another hotel, and when I say me and my wife, we went and got checked into that hotel, and we really began to get to experience some stuff. And I had a really decent time. It was a lot of fun. It was very interesting. I'm going to try to do it. I'm going to put this in order the best way that I think like we processed it, and kind of we'll go from there. So at the hotel, at the big hotel, the casino, I noticed that looking out, the water was just kind of still. It was always really still. It was just never any waves. There was no like of this beach. It's beautiful. It's white. That must remind you of like Destin. It's just as far as you can see these beautiful white beaches, but they're not really wide. They're really like thin. They're probably, I bet some of the spots are maybe not 50 yards wide. I mean,
beaches are white.
Yeah, beach white sand, like Destin, Florida, like kind of Gulf Coast, like Florida. Beautiful
So
sand.
just like the Gulf Coast.
Yeah. The difference, though, really very noticeable difference. The water was, at least from the hotel, I'm a little ways, I had a kind of a golf view out of the big hotel. So in the big hotel, we overlooked the water. So it was dark. It reminds you of a lot of the South Carolina coast. And from that angle, it wasn't clear. You couldn't see through very well. It looked muddy and murky. That's something I noticed right off the bat. As we're coming in from Gulfport to Biloxi, as I've taken the Uber ride, like there's a lot of different bayous and river systems. So that kind of reminded me of, the coast of South Carolina as well. But I'd say there's probably more, kind of rivers, like not big rivers, but definitely small little rivers that kind of fed all over. So I continued to notice that. The next thing was the waves. I've never been to a beach and never saw waves. Thought I was very curious about that. So I just kind of kept that and put that into like a little spot in my head and kind of thought about it and tried to like contemplate why that is what it is. So we decided to look for some stuff to do. And we wanted to, like, the next morning, we took it easy that first day, and we went to this place called Half Shell to go to a restaurant that we'd heard a lot about while we were at the casino. And other locals had a lot to say about it. So we wanted to try that place. And I have to say that was the best seafood I think I've ever had. And, we have a lot of seafood here in South Carolina, especially on the coast. Not obviously as good inland or to the mountains, not as fresh, but this seafood was really good. We had the thing called Royal Reds. Their kind of whole spiel is that they taste like a lobster, but they look like a shrimp.
What restaurant were you in?
This is Half Oyster or Half Shell. Excuse me.
Half Shell.
Yep.
So it's Half Shell. That's all it's called.
Yeah. If I'm not right, we'll definitely edit that later. But I'm pretty
sure.
So
they go. Is there a hashtag turtle power?
I don't know. I didn't ask them the hashtag, but I don't want to get into the food because we'll definitely talk about that more in depth. But a very good restaurant, probably best seafood I ever had. I'll just leave it at that for right now. A local favorite as well. So the next day we decided that we would. I mean, this is a big shrimping industry, right? Like, interesting enough, the machine that was created to do to peel a shrimp, like a mechanical, like the engineering to like for shrimp peelers, that was done, I think, somewhere around there by some kid who stepped on a shrimp with his rubber boots, and he noticed that the rubber grabbed it enough and pulled in, and somehow he ends up creating this thing. I don't know the full history of it. I did go to the museum for that, so I'm sure I'm misquoting it.
So they got a shrimp museum?
They have a fishing and shrimp museum we went to, and that was, they explained that. So there was some history to, obviously, I mean, there's out of these shrimp peeler processors for shrimp, I think there's like 3 in the United States or something. I mean, it's a very small amount, and like 2 or 3 of them are like right here in Biloxi. So I figured we got to like go check out the seafood market. And they just so happened to have a tour, so you could get on this boat and they would actually drop the trolley and we would shrimp. And I don't know why.
It's a shrimp boat, right?
Yeah, shrimp boat. We're gonna get to go on a shrimp boat. At least that's what I'm reading on the internet. And I for some reason, I've always wanted to do that. I always wanted to go on a shrimp boat and check that out just to see all the stuff. I want to do it one time.
Dump or something.
Yeah, one time and that's it. Like, you don't want to do it forever, just one time. So we go out there, and it's not exactly like the Forrest Gump shrimp boat that I had imagined, but it's not bad. And that's like a small little, thing that they're going to drag a net. And so I'm like, okay, well, this would be good enough. It was really entertaining. The character that was kind of leading the show, I don't got his name right off the back, but I don't know that I even remember his name.
But he's a character.
He's just kind of like a dry, like kind of in control. He's just a funny dude, and it's like cool. One of the interesting things that he said was that he said we went to the second story, so this boat had like 2 stories. So we go to the second story, and he's like, makes a joke. He's like, oh well, it should be good if it sinks. You'll still be on dry land. You'll still be dry. He said we fish in water that's shallower than the boat. I was like, well, that's. I mean, I thought he was joking. When I see shrimp boats, I mean, they're way out there, man. Like I wasn't. I didn't.
Yeah.
I still don't know what he's like. Oh yeah, we're fishing like 12 foot of water. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. So still not recognizing what's happening. So he goes and explains that shrimp on this bayou, this big bowl area that he calls it, is basically the shrimp. He says, I don't know if it's true. I didn't taste it, but the shrimp are sweeter there. They're like their taste different because of all this, like, you know, the Mississippi runs in there and all these different rivers. The ones I kind of talked about previous, they come from all the, you know, main like plains area, and it comes with silt and just muck and fertilizer and probably poisons, and they run into this basin, and the shrimp somehow becomes sweeter. So there you go. If you want to know what Roundup tastes like in a shrimp, it's sweet. And so, or whatever else.
Kind of sewage and all that.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, I got you. And then it kind of made me like not want the shrimp. But interesting enough, they said that there's so much shrimp there that in the time of year that the shrimp are being caught, that you can buy at the shrimp boats shrimp per pound cheaper than you can buy ground beef at the store. So like I said, all the locals just buy a bunch of shrimp. They freeze them doing that, and they eat on shrimp all year round. He said it's cheaper. It is by far cheaper than to get a ground beef by pound. So that was kind of.
I wonder if it's healthier. Like I wonder.
I don't know.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, you got to get a little scientist. I'm sure there's some scientists or whatever down there that's actually looked it up and done the research and had his test and, you know, put up their hypotheses and all that stuff, run experiments and everything else. I bet you they've done it. So I wonder if it's somewhere out there.
I'm sure it is. And the only good thing about the shrimp is that, you know, like with bigger sea, like, you know, I guess fish that you catch, the bigger it is, the more chance it has like poisons, mercury, and stuff like that, because it's growing longer to eat other fish. These shrimp's life cycle are so small. It may really not be too bad, but it would be interesting. It sounds a lot worse than it may be, but so we did that. He runs the thing. We pull it up, got some shrimp. We got like a little catfish that was in there, like flounder, some crab. So
what kind of catfish was it?
Freak, I don't know, man.
Kind of near the mouth of the river, right?
Not really. Not really.
Not really brackish.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was brackish. They were complaining that they had a lot of rain, so the salinity was off, and the shrimp were kind of backed off. But so that I really don't know. It looked a little different than the one you had, but it was kind of a small, so it was hard to tell. But it was good, and it was a lot of fun. So we did that, and then
so you go back to the shrimp before you digress again. So whatever you guys caught, you didn't eat or cook any of it?
No, I mean, some of the shrimp are like,
I can't see. There you go.
That big.
Oh, they're like,
some of them were pretty small. Yeah, some were like baby shrimps. I mean, you know, maybe a little bigger than that.
Popcorn shrimp?
Yeah, maybe some. I bet you couldn't even cook them. Some of them.
So what do they do with them? Do they keep them all?
No, I don't think they could keep them. I thought they could, but apparently this is more of an educational thing, so they don't give them a license to I guess catch them and sell them.
So they just catch them and throw them back?
I didn't technically see him throwing back, but I'm sure they did, because he wasn't keeping those little few that we had. But anyway, so and a bunch of like croakers and mullet and stuff they threw, and seagulls were like crazy. But,
you're just going after them.
Yeah, so we did that on we after that. There's like right at the docks, there's like all the shrimp boats and everything. Just this really big on stilts restaurant that there's kind of like a fried food frenzy, like seafood fried frenzy. And we decided just to step in there real quick. We didn't have really high expectations for the food. And the food was mediocre. It was like, all right, but they had a crab dip that was really good. And a beautiful view. Kind of looked again of this basin of just open Gulf. So that was.
You remember what it was called?
I don't know. I didn't keep up with that one. That was how entertaining that one was, to be honest with you. It was just a typical, restaurant.
Typical restaurant by the beach.
Yeah, just like a fried beach restaurant. So we decided after that we would walk around. And this is kind of where I started understanding Biloxi some. We got out, we took a little hike, and we walked around the area.
So would this be like downtown, or what are we talking about?
I guess, yeah, like downtownish, where, things kind of, there's two casinos, right? There's in this particular area, there's the one that we stayed in, and then there's a Hard Rock Cafe, like a Hard Rock. And we did go into Hard Rock afterwards because it's like right next to it. So we actually we did go into that first. We went into there. It was all right. That was definitely not a better casino. That was probably worse. I mean, I didn't impress me.
Why was it worse?
It was small. It didn't have a lot going on. There wasn't that many people there compared to like the Beau Rivage, where it's like it was fully staffed at all times at 8 o'clock in the morning. We were there at like 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. Just wasn't a lot of people there. Like a lot of stuff, their tables were closed, the bars were kind of closed. So a lot different atmosphere. Didn't seem as well staffed or as populated. So we go past that and we start to go into the downtown, which is kind of downtown area, which is like blocks, that you can walk and stuff. And we were trying to do some shopping. I was honestly trying to buy you something, trying to think of like family members to buy stuff for. And I couldn't find a shop. Like it was
make me feel bad because, I wasn't even looking for you guys when I was there.
You got me beer.
Yeah, I got you beer. I guess that rounds up to it. There you go.
Yeah.
So the thought.
Yeah. So I start really noticing, like, you go down a block and you could, it's a square. So it's a block square. And you could kind of like diagonal across the property. And there's just like empty parking lot or like kind of a vacant lot. I noticed that was a lot there and just really couldn't find much to do. And so we walked around for a little while and I was like, all right, Kelly, you just want to go back? Like, I don't know what else to do. And she's like,
there was a lot of lots.
Yeah, a lot of lots. L-O-T, yeah.
A lot of lots.
And it just kind of sitting there and really no remnants of anything that was there. I just emptiness. And so I was like, okay, well, we couldn't do anything. So we went to back to the hotel and we hung out at the pool. And so we started looking, trying to find something to do. And
this is at the same.
We're at this other hotel now. We're at the other hotel now, and we're in Biloxi.
What's the name of the other hotel? Do you remember? Did you already say
Holiday Inn or Hampton Inn, I think it was.
All right.
And so so I went and stayed, just kind of chilled in the pool for a little while, and I was like, all right, what are we gonna do now? We've been eating a lot as of time. We stopped at this, we lunch out, we ate this, and whatever. And so we looked at going into like a restaurant called like a Retired Surfer, and that was about another almost as exciting as like a fried, like really like touristy shop. But the difference there was it was in Gulfport, a little bit closer to Gulfport. I don't know if it's 100% in Gulfport or not. They would consider that, but it's definitely 2 miles or so down the road.
So which way is Gulfport? Is that more east or west?
I don't know. I don't know on a compass, but it's.
You were there.
I didn't have a compass on me.
To the south of you, somewhat.
I guess it's more west. But see that the hard part about that is we came 2 different ways, and the way I came was completely different than the way I left. So the way I left was west, but I didn't come that way. So I don't know in which direction I was really at from that Uber. And so I'd say it's a little more west if I had to guess, but actually now that I look at the map, it is west. Because I remember seeing it now. So I don't know if we're totally in Gulfport there. It's a decent restaurant. It's whatever. But next to it was
like another city.
Gulfport's where the airport is. So you go from there, you go to Biloxi, which was surprising to me because I've always heard Biloxi. Knew a lot about Biloxi. I assumed that airport was in Biloxi, but it is not.
Gotcha.
And so we eat at that place. It's good. It's not bad. It just wasn't like, seafood restaurant, local seafood, like, really good food. Didn't have any problem with it. So that goes there. The next day, we decided to go into Gulfport and go to the aquarium just because we can't find anything else to do. Like there's just
the aquarium in Gulfport.
Yeah, so we're now leaving Biloxi to go somewhere else. We're Googling, like trying to Google things, trying to find something to do. Yeah. And it's a small aquarium, like there's not a lot going on. And as I drive, it's just emptiness between this 2 miles from like Hampton Inn, like there's another hotel next to us. I think a Hyatt or something like, I don't know. I don't even know what it was, but and then after that, it was just a lot of emptiness between us and wherever, we started seeing restaurants again, which I would assume was probably the edge of Gulfport. So that was kind of noticeable. And aquarium was small. It was good enough aquarium, but it was really small. It was super hot. We like Google to places after we get done with that to go eat, because we're at this point, all my mission is to eat at any local restaurants I can find. And nothing really catches my mind. Like over here, it's more like touristy in this Gulfport area. They have a big mall. They have like a, Five Guys or Raising Cane. Like you could start to see like it's just more local, like fast food kind of franchisees restaurants. Yeah. And so we're not interested in that. And I decided to go back next to the retired surfer. There was a Slappy Mama's barbecue. And we went in there, and it was again built on high stilts. Both those, both of those buildings were built on stilts where they were really high, probably 20 plus feet easy, maybe even 30. And we went in there, and it smelled amazing. Like it just smelled like smokiness. Like I'm like, this is probably gonna be a pretty good barbecue. Like, so we sit down and we get these nachos, which is like pulled pork and some queso and like jalapenos and whatever else they put on them.
You think they were house-made chips or store-bought?
I don't know. I would guess store-bought, but that stuff was amazing. Some of the best barbecues I'd ever had. And I'll elaborate a little more on the meats here. I know this is not our section, but this barbecue is really good.
Oh, we're talking about restaurants. We're talking about your trip.
I know. Well, because I'm gonna go, because there's in the meat section. I want to talk about something else. Like I'm gonna tell you about my other experience. Yeah. So this one, I'm just gonna talk about a restaurant, and particularly it was I had the pulled pork, really tender, like wasn't dry, had a really good flavor. I had a brisket sandwich with it as that was what we got. That was an appetizer, was the nachos. We got a brisket sandwich, and it was smoked in pecan wood, which is just something you don't see a lot in barbecue restaurants. Like, you see a lot of you see a lot of like local barbecue places that are really good, but it's like hickory or mesquite. You don't see a lot of pecan, and it was really good. The only, I guess, critique I had, I think a particular piece I had was probably towards the end, so it's like some pieces were kind of dry, but a majority of it was really good. But I think I was just cut.
Stayed in the warmer a little too long.
Maybe, yeah, but really good. I mean, just a good flavor. So that was really good barbecue. I really hate that we don't have one of those around here. So we go through, and it kind of really wraps up the trip, and I got some pieces to elaborate to that kind of put some things together.
So that wasn't really in Biloxi then, huh?
This was Gulfport. Yeah, both those things were technically Gulfport, but I believe they were
in Gulfport.
I would believe that it may be close. I don't know where they would say Gulfport line in Biloxi, but it's definitely in between those. There's a no man's land, and
land.
Yeah, there's one before I kind of explain Biloxi as a overarching as I figured it out at the end. I do want to give one single credit to one place we did stop at while we were in Biloxi, and that is the Fly Llama Brewery.
Fly Llama Brewery.
Yeah, Fly Llama Brewery. I looked for some breweries, some local areas. I had tried to get some local beers. Really not a lot of local beer. One of the beers that I had was a beer called Crowd Control, which is like one of them they had every single place that I went to. And it was an okay beer. I mean, it was good for a craft beer, maybe like a more local distillery, but microbrewery. But I just wasn't my favorite, and I wanted to try more. They did have a few other things that I tried that somebody gave me. It was like a lighter IPA. I didn't catch the name of it, but I really wasn't impressed with it at all. And so I wanted to try a local brewery at least once. So we Googled it, we found it, and got there. It's like, it's clearly new. Like it's a starting up. Like you can just tell, like, and the reason you can tell, like the bar's clean, like the furniture is really nice. Like, it hasn't been beat yet.
Nothing's messed up.
Yeah, and it's like in a warehouse.
Bathroom spotless.
Yeah, right. Actually, it was, yeah. And so all these things I know, like this is a newer place, and kind of heard that it was on the Uber ride there. But dude,
Yeah.
some of the most unique flavors of beer I'd ever had. They had a bacon like imperial stout, smoked imperial stout, and
making my mouth water right now.
It is interesting. It was really, I liked it. It's good.
Yeah.
But you gotta in your head, you gotta realize like it tastes like bacon and you're drinking bacon. Like it's weird. And it's got a bitter taste of hoppiness to it that kind of has an aftertaste. But if you just take it kind of a whiff of it in your mouth, and it first flows in there, it's like bacon, smoky, bakey, and it's salty. It's got like a saltiness to it. So that was really one. Started out with that. I tried a blueberry IPA, which is not over like something that nobody's ever done before. But it was good. I didn't actually like it as much as the blueberry we had on the last episode. I actually think that blueberry is a lot better. But I didn't really like
the brew bus.
Yeah, the IPA I think threw off the blueberryness to me. Like it didn't have that refreshing blueberry bite that I was talking about. So had we liked so much on the last beer, this one kind of bringing out bitterness. So I just didn't like the combo. Because I guess in my head I wasn't looking for that. They had this like truffle, like chocolate caramel truffle, like stout, or it was amazing. And they said that they were getting ready to make they had one online, like it was like a strawberry truffle. Like I don't know, man. It looked really good. I didn't get to try it. Apparently, somebody had made something similar, and it was a really big hit. So they were doing tweaking the flavor a little bit.
Right.
They had a sour that I had, which I am starting to. I don't want to say I'm like liking sours because I'm not, but I am a little bit. I had it was a
you don't want to get on that path or whatever you want.
Yeah, I don't want to go down the path of liking sours. I just assume everybody that likes the sours just kind of stuck up. But they're a little too hipster for me. Like I'm not into this.
A little too much.
Yeah, a little too much. I just like, there's just a luxury of being in a good old American drinking a Natty Light or Bud Light, sitting down on your farm and drinking Bud Light.
We still do that.
I agree with you, like a good 40, but I don't want to get to the point where it's like I'm too uppity and I'm like, oh no, man, I need a sour. Yeah, so I do that a little bit.
You guys always call me a beer snob.
Yeah, but you're not too bad. So that's what I'm trying to avoid. Like where we're at is where I want to be. So tried the sour. It was orange creamsicle and amazing. It tasted
creamsicle I had in Ormond.
Yeah, just like a freaking ice cream creamsicle. So that was really good. Then I've introduced.
So it wasn't even sour. Like it didn't get that pucker in your back of your jaw and all that stuff.
I'd say it's similar to the beer that we're having today in the sour profile. It was enough to get that orange kind of taste. I would say. I'd say it's close. I'd say about the sourness. I bet it may be a little less sour.
Yeah,
but it's really close. And just imagine, take out peach and put like an orange. It was really close to that. But give it a creaminess, like there's a cream to it. It was really good.
I got you.
Then I tried. They had a seltzers, and I had never tried a seltzer. Wanted to try.
You never had a seltzer at all.
Well, that's not true. I had one of those like margarita seltzers that's liquor in it though, so I haven't had like a kind of more of a beer one.
You never had a beer seltzer like a Truly or White Claw or any of those? Never had one of those?
Mm-mm.
Oh.
No.
All right.
You must have been really thirsty.
Never have I ever. I guess I got a drink.
So I wanted to venture into trying that a little bit, and they had one that was a muscadine, and I really like muscadines. I like muscadine wine. I like the muscadine itself. And I just like, man, I got this. If I'm gonna try it, if I'm gonna try a seltzer, this got to be one. Amazing, it's really good.
And this
really
is all still at Fly Llama.
Fly Llama, really good beer. Really highly. They had everything, man. I think they just added flavor in it, but I'm not sure. It was really good. It was so good. They had different they had different seltzers and they had different flavors. Like that's the one that stuck out. So I'm pretty sure they like just squirt in a flavor and then add the seltzer, but I don't care what they did. Really, it was really good. But it was so good that I almost went back just to go get beer and bring it back to the hotel. Like I almost
Nice.
Uber, and the thought
You
was,
get
since,
growlers, huh?
yeah, well, I didn't, yeah, I didn't have any, but they had, what are the crowlers or whatever. So
Yeah,
they
the
had the
growlers.
cans.
Yeah.
I thought about going back purely just to get those and bring them back to the hotel, but I was like, man, it's gonna be like $15 there. $30 just to go get beer seems like a bit much, but it was pretty good. If we had been out, I'd have stopped by again. So that was really, really good.
That was cool.
Brewery.
So before you moved from that, so it was Fly Llama. Did they have a pinata in there?
Kind of like, it looked like a pinata ish. It had like a little like a tie like thing, like maybe a scarf, and it was like blowing off to the side. So it was really cool. Kelly got a little hat, and highly like, probably, like, if I had to say, if anybody said, hey, I'm going to Biloxi, where should I go? Out of every place I went to, that is one of them.
Did they have like food there, or like a food truck or anything? Or
so they didn't have food there at the time, but they said that they do bring food trucks. They were so new; they only been like open like 6 months. So it was
really?
Yeah, it was really new. So maybe one day.
Hopefully, business seems like a place to go.
I would hope they get some distributing, but they're kind of small. I mean, they're definitely a microbrewery. So really, really good. And a thing was, that particular day, I didn't have our Tailblazers card. I really wanted to let them know we were going to do it, and I was
made them before you left.
I know, but I didn't have them with me.
But you had them for you. And then you messed up.
Yeah, so I was like bummed about that.
I'll blame that one on you, friend.
Oh, I'll take the blame. So let me drink this sip here. And now here goes the original assessment of Biloxi.
The original assessment of Biloxi.
One of the first things I noticed when I got to Biloxi was that the Uber driver very quickly talked about Katrina. And he wasn't the only one. Literally every single local and every single Uber driver ever since had some degree of Katrina. And Katrina had been, I think we did a rough Google search, and it was 10 plus years possibly, from now.
2005. It was August 23rd to August 31st, 2005.
So, I mean, we're talking quite a bit of time. And what people would do is, it was almost like PTSD. It was weird. You could see people reliving this experience. They would drive by, and when they would tell us as people that are out of town, they'd say, oh, the water level used to be here. That, and when the water came up to that hotel, it was to here. And they marked as you would drive down the road where water was. And one of the things that I did notice, and the Uber driver explained, that the new kind of regulation was to build, because the water got so high, to build, you have to be 24 feet in the air. So all these businesses, that's the minimum. All these businesses are stilts, massive stilts, 2-3 stories high before you get to the bottom floor where you actually sit and everything. I mean, everything's just stilts. And so houses are being that way, restaurants and stuff like that. Some of the only things that really survived were the massive hotels. At the time, I never knew this, but Biloxi's casino industry was actually sitting on barges. So they weren't on land. They were in these massive barges. And there's one in particular that's still there that I got to see as I went by, and the Uber driver pointed out, said, hey, that's one of them that's left. And what happened was, and they all, they're massive, dude. These are hotels. People were staying, hundreds and hundreds of rooms. So, I mean, these barges are massive. When the water came up, the barges actually got lifted up and just dragged down the roads and just took everything out. It was crazy from the sounds of it. I obviously didn't see it, but people were really kind of bitter in Biloxi at the fact that the news and the media took so much care over New Orleans. And they were very adamant about that. They were very honest about that that they didn't get the same thing. And, one of them is like, all that happened there was a dike broke. That's man-made. Like, this wasn't man-made. This was all, natural disaster. And so in between that, and I did take a video of it, but in between the time, as we were driving from Biloxi to Gulfport to go to the aquarium, it was the first time I really got to notice what was happening. It was different to be in the city and realize there was this lot that was empty, or this lot that was empty. But when you drive 2 miles and it's just lot after lot after lot after lot, it's just emptiness.
For 2 miles?
Yeah, I mean, for every bit of those 2 miles, there's nothing there. Like, there's just empty. Like there would be steps and driveways that would go to nowhere. Like the main pylons of houses were gone. But as the Uber driver was saying, like this all used to be houses. These used to be houses. And that used to be a gas station, that used to be a restaurant, that was a little park, and it's just empty. I mean, it's just like the trees, there's some beautiful oak trees still, and grass underneath them, but it's just empty. It's
so the houses are all gone too. It's just
a lot of them are. There's a few very mostly vegetation. It's kept up, so it's not overgrown, but it's for some, I don't know who keeps them up, but it is kept up. But the property is still owned by the original owners, or a lot of the owners. People have sold stuff too, but the lots are owned. And you could still, however many years later, driving down, this road to Gulfport on your left, where, is the beach, you would see pylons that would go straight, off to the Gulf, out to the deeper water that didn't have anything, that nobody's ever taken out and moved. And it was just very noticeable. And as you hear about it, is basically nobody's rebuilding. Like people aren't coming back. There, casinos aren't coming back, and
I'm sure a lot of them are scared in case it happens again.
They said the insurance is super expensive. Like nobody wants to come back. And one of the Uber guys gave the most depressing, I guess, like assessment of it, which was that he thought in like 5 or 10 years this town won't exist anymore. Like there would just be nothing there. And it reminded me of watching the Discovery Channel, and they do the show like, this is what St. Louis will look like 5 years after people, 10 years after people, 15. It was looking like that. That's how vacant it was getting. And when we were walking around, there was just not a lot to do. So there wasn't these big tourist attraction. And I go back to the aquarium, and it was very noticeable about how it was small. It was a very small aquarium. It was nice, but it was very small compared to what you would think you could possibly get down there on this Gulf Coast with a bunch of seafood. I mean, you would think that would be a great place to have a big aquarium. It's really small. And I assume it's because if something ever happens again, where they're going to put the animals,
Yeah, exactly.
So it was really, really very noticeable, and kind of in a way depressing. And I would say that it was.
It's really put a depressing mood down for sure. I can feel it right now.
Yeah, it was
what you're describing and everything. It doesn't feel too good. I wanted to ask you too, like the Uber drivers. So is that what they do? That's all they do is Uber drive, or I mean, they have like another job, or is that all they do for tourists? People that come to casinos and different things.
I didn't get a lot of like background on a lot of them. It's some kind
I know that's what we try to do when we go with Ubers or anything like that. We try to talk to them, get their backgrounds, whatever else.
I think I got more caught up. I think this was so different. They were taking this touristy approach. They were like carriages, running a carriage down to downtown, just saying this is this, this, that. And it was almost like listening to them. The only guy that really talked about how much she liked Biloxi was the guy that picked me up from the airport that was from Canada, and that could explain why it's better than Canada. And I assume I've never been to Canada. It might be bad there too.
But that's somewhere we need to go.
Yeah. But anyway, just, all sites aside at Canada, but he was the only one that said he loved it and really fell in love with it. But the rest of to me, were more locals, like living up there, didn't have the same assessment of the town, and we're just constantly Katrina. I mean, as you drive, so it was like I said, that part was kind of a bummer. And I think we stayed almost a week, and I would say that I 100% agree that we stayed one day too many, because there just wasn't a lot to do, or that we weren't like. It was just get to the point where we were really stretching to find something to entertain us. And I would almost be willing to bet that we probably say 2 days too many. Like we could have probably gone 2 days less.
And that's even without friends.
Yeah. I mean, maybe that would have been better. That's the thing though. It was a group of friends. I think it'd been worse. Like we would have been itching to try to find something to do, like that would have, we could have gone to Flight Llama, but like I didn't go to Biloxi to sit at a bar all day. You know what I mean? Either. And I think that was what was missing.
And you couldn't even like surf fish or anything, could you?
I didn't try. So Here's the thing I looked about that, and I want to kind of recap it some of that as I processed it. And this is towards the end of really the trip to golf is to the golf port is that when we went to the aquarium is when I really kind of noticed everything. And this was towards the end. And I said, I noticed as we drove this whole 2 mile, like it's over 2 miles, it's probably 15 miles to there, but you parallel the coast for a good 4 or 5 miles, probably the whole thing. But there's a solid 2 miles that's really nothing in your way. There's no big buildings on your left, so you see the beach and see the water. And I just watched and watched and watched and watched, and there's just no wave, no wave. There's no white cap. There's nothing. It's just kind of like calm, and it's really windy there. It's been windy most of the time over there, and it's like, so I told the Uber dude, I'm like, hey, is there no waves here? Like, what's going on? It's like, oh no, it's the barrier islands. You know, it's like the little sandbars out there.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, like, where are they at? Because I don't see them. Like, where's the barrier islands? He's like, oh, they're way out there. Yeah, they're out there. And that kind of came back into what the shrimp trawler was telling, that this water was deep. So I actually pull up the navigation maps and I look. And sure enough, there's these islands that are way out there. I can't see them. I'm on the beach and I cannot see them. Okay. So they're that far, you know, they're I don't know the distance, but I mean far enough that you and I can't see.
Wow.
Yeah. And in between the beach until this island, inside of this bowl that's been created is the deepest part that I could see on just the navigational maps, where it's 18 foot. So you could be running and not be able to see land at some point, almost any direction, and almost hit a, like, literally be in 5 foot of water.
Wow, that's crazy.
That in some spots, it was that crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And so
do you think that was like all man-made, or was that just?
It sounds like it's so. That goes back into all the silt that's coming into this area. It's kind of building up, and it stays flat because there's just a lot of muck coming in here. And it also goes into, as I actually never went to the beach and had no interest in going into the beach. The water was just muddy and dirty. And when you got close up to it, it was just nasty. And there was nothing about it that was appetizing. I mean, do I mind swimming? And I was swimming dirtier water in, you know, South Carolina? Sure, whatever. But I didn't.
This is the Gulf Coast. You don't expect this,
right? Yeah, you don't expect that. I think I thought it was going to be clear. I was going to hang at a beach. And a guy told me, like, this is it. He said there's 30 miles of sand beach, and there's 30 miles of white sand that's imported. It's not even real. There's sand. It's imported sand. And that's to draw its attention, because it's not the Gulf Coast of Florida, and that's what he said. So that was really kind of crazy to me. So you're not getting this beach life that exists. You're not getting the entertainment that's there. There are some casinos. If you like the casinos, you could casino hop, but wasn't necessarily what I wanted to do the whole time. So overall, it was a good trip. I'm glad I did it. I don't know that, like, you know, would I go back again? Probably, I would try to go back and give it a chance. You know, whatever. I don't know that I would. If you ask me, hey man, I'm drunk, where should I go? I don't know that Biloxi would be the first place I would say, by any means, to you. But you know, overall, it was really nice. The temperature worked out well. The weather worked out. I don't know that I'd be interested in going back anytime soon, but if I went, I think I would do some research to see if it's built back up. Unfortunately, it just doesn't exist right now. I mean, it's a ghost town. In all reality, but interesting too. Interesting. The casinos that were on barges, Mississippi allowed them to build on land, so all of them have moved back on land. So originally, you couldn't have a casino on land. You had to pay taxes. So they built them on barges and literally float them in water, and that turned out to be bad. So that's kind of that's an interesting piece there.
Let's put them on land now. It makes it safer.
Mm-hmm. So that was interesting. I definitely recommend doing it again with a friend and somewhere else.
So yeah, man, it sounds like Biloxi's a town that needs to come back, and it was a very kind of depressing moment to listen to for a little bit there, but it also interesting in a way that we can still see that how the hurricane is still detrimented the towns near the Gulf Coast and everything. So that's I'm sure it was heartwarming or heartbreak visit you had. But anyway, let's go on to the meats.
Yeah.
Talk about the meats, man. I remember you mentioned the half shell. Turtle Power restaurant. So what'd you want to do with that one, man?
So I wanted to give all credit where credit is due. So when I was in the casino, the resort, I was talking to a guy. I got to go to the pool one day by myself for a little while, and then
too many times.
Well, no, I got to go to the casino pool twice, and one time I went by myself, and Kelly, my wife, came later, and we went before when she got there on Sunday. And while I was there, dude was talking, and I just happened to be at the pool next to him, and he's just talking to me. He's like, "Oh yeah, I've been here before." I'm like, "No, it's first time." He was like, "Yeah, I've been here."
Were you guys in chairs or were you guys in the water?
We were in the water. And he was telling us, he was telling me that he'd been there, he comes a bunch of times, and he was telling me about this.
Like that guy creeped up to us at the community pool at my place, right?
No, no, definitely not that. No, it seemed like good enough, dude. And he somehow started talking and told him that I was looking for some local food restaurants, and he was, he said he comes back a lot or comes here every like year or so. But there are some people that literally come here for the resort and just want to hang out there. It wasn't my cup of tea.
That's all they do all the time.
Yeah, I guess gamble and swim in a pool. I mean, I really don't know. I don't know. But so he told me to go to this half shell. Well, while I'm there talking to that dude, some other an older gentleman, like one of those guys that looks almost leathery from being tan, has got like a gold chain that's like, just a solid, like obnoxious, like, you're wearing a gold chain, but it's like tanned leather body skin he's got.
Did he have the white hair poking out of the gold chain?
Yeah.
Everything. Like pull it out.
Yeah, heavier set dude, like kind of. I know I got a dad bod drinking team, but like he's the one that created the team. He's the alumni of the team. He's probably founder, co-founder, and running it still.
You're under his wing.
Yeah, right under his hairy underarms that are sticking. Yeah, you're picturing the right person.
Gotcha.
He overhears the conversation and goes on and tells us about it and tells us to go try these Royal Reds. Oh, it tastes like lobster. I'm like, yeah, I love lobster. That sounds like a great idea. So
yeah.
So I go there. We get there. We get in pretty quick. The wait's not too bad. Here we hear it's pretty popular, and there could be a wait. So we do go to dinner early because I'm not sitting down there and trying to wait. Like that's not me. So we
not like wait St. Augustine.
Yeah, I'm not waiting if I don't have to. So we get in there, and I look at the appetizers. Well, at first I looked at the menu, and there's like a menu, like a entree that's Royal Reds, guys with a side or two. And then I realized they have them as an appetizer. I only get to live once, so I don't want to use my entree as a Royal Reds. Like I want to be able to try something else.
Yeah.
And so I was like, yeah, well, let's try let's do the Royal Reds as an appetizer. So she's like, okay, that's fine. And that gives me an opportunity to get something I get to try best both worlds. So it was half pound or a pound. And I was like, pound, like for an appetizer, like solid pound. This shrimp are like this big, man. Like they're huge. Like they're solid.
So they weren't the little popcorn.
No, like this is heads off. Yeah, this is heads off, man. And they're like this thick.
The whole thing.
I mean, they're big, and they got this shell that is similar to a lobster. Like it's a harder shell, but it peels.
They weren't shelled. You had to shell them yourself.
Yeah, I had to shell. Yeah, maybe do all the work. They had to shell. I had to shell them. And
half price on peeled?
No, I don't think I don't know what the price was. They're kind of expensive for. They were really good. I guess it's a fair price. Never had them before. I have no comparison. And so the shell is hard. Like I said, it's kind of like the skin or the outside of like a lobster tail. Like that's how it feels, but it breaks off like a shrimp a little bit better. And so you dip them in like a butter sauce and eat them. Everybody else sold them to being tasting exactly like lobsters. Well, I'd hate to tell the leathery guy at the pool. I disagree with his judgment on that. They were close. They were in it, to be truthful, honest. They were right in the middle of lobster and shrimp, and that the texture was kind of in the middle. It wasn't as tough as like lobster. It wasn't as soft as shrimp. The taste was right there. It wasn't as shrimp can be kind of like a I like to just say the word shrimpy, but that doesn't make sense. More like fishy. Like shrimp can be a little more fishy. Lobster can be a little more meaty. Like in my description, it was right there in the middle. They were unique flavored. They were amazing for the amount of the actual meat that was in it. It was a good bite-sized chunk. They were really, really, really good. Really cool.
I guess that's what Roundup creates on the end of the Mississippi River.
Yeah. So I looked up those to find out what royal reds are, and apparently they're like a deep living shrimp, like 3,000, 4,000 feet. Not sure even sure how they actually catch those. I didn't go there.
Or they get the 1,500, 15-foot range.
Well, they catch them. These are offshore like shrimp that I didn't get the whole thing. Apparently they don't even know a lot about them, so maybe it's just as bad that I ate them. But they apparently there's not a lot of science on them. Like there's a lot of research being done on them. They don't know a lot about them. So, but they were really
in the Gulf, or is this like somewhere else? I can't imagine the Gulf. I don't know how deep the Gulf is, but I didn't think it was that deep.
I mean, I don't.
I was like feet.
No, like 3,000 or 4,000. I don't know, man. I swear that's what I said. That's not right.
You went way past. You doubled me. I said 1,500.
Let me check this out real quick. So as I Google this, I'll take a look. But yeah. See, I was right. It's a royal red shrimp, or tender, salty sweet, and one of the most unique harvestable species of shrimp in all of Florida. That's what this is. A Google search. So apparently that's probably comes from the Gulf Coast, I'd assume, or somewhere around there. Almost lobster-like, which is how I described it. So don't let the leather guy tell you it tastes like lobster. It's almost lobster-like. Exactly how I described it. They come from deep, cold water along the continental shelf at depths ranging as deep as 2,000 feet. They do not travel, and you will rarely find them outside the southeast. So apparently they're not even on the Gulf. They're in the southeast. So there's just a high level of what these shrimp are. Really, really good shrimp, though. And that led me to be able to get my next meal, or what my entree was, which was a oyster sampler. And the dude, a leather dude told me about it. He said...
Leather dude? I thought the leather dude told you about the reds.
Yeah, no, this is still part of conversation. Yeah, we're still talking to Paul.
Well, I thought you were talking to two guys.
I did, but leather guy's taking over. You got to expect.
He walked in and I got my chain. Come on, I'm taking over.
100% takes ownership of this conversation. Dude was trying to tell me about the restaurant. He takes over exactly what I need to order. I did exactly what Leatherman said, and I got the sampler oyster. And apparently, they said, "Oh yeah, they cook them all kinds of different ways. You know, they like." Charboil them, fire, steam, whatever, bake them. So I was like, sure, whatever. And I ordered them, and all it comes out is oysters. I normally do not order oysters at a seafood restaurant, purely because I have, you and I steam oysters ourselves. It's cheaper to do it that way. I like them just as good if I steam them than somebody else, and it's not as crazy unique flavor. And so I was kind of expecting them just to be steamed oysters, period. I was going out of my I guess what I normally do, just because it's somewhere different. So I tried them, and when I got them, oh my gosh, man, they were on a half shell. All right, they had half shell.
Half shell comes in.
Ding, 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 ding. They had the oysters in there, and because I guess I didn't read the menu. They had these different. They had 2 oysters, like for each flavor of different stuff they put on. Like one of them had like spinach and like something was like one of them had like little shrimp in them. I mean, it was amazing. And it was just this oyster that was packed full of just really goodness. And some of them were baked, some of them were like charcoal, like some of them were like smoked almost like, and had like a smoky flavor. Oh my gosh, dude. I ate those before I knew it. I ate a lot that day, and I felt I could have eaten some more like that stuff.
You had another plate.
Yeah, that was delicious. Now
bring a round of half shells, please.
Yes, yeah, dude, best oysters. I can't wait till the audience sees that picture. I mean, absolutely.
I can't wait to see that picture.
Amazing picture. I mean, a picture of oysters. It looks as good as it tastes. So that by far best oysters I've ever had. 100% best oysters I've ever had.
Way better than you ever.
Better than I ever cooked. I sure tell you that. I mean, the steam is one thing that tastes like. This did not taste like oyster. I mean, it was just a flavor profile. Each flavor was. I mean, each little oyster was just different.
How do you think they managed that?
I don't know. I mean, I know.
Pop the oyster open when it's raw, right?
I don't think so. I think they steam them. I think when they crack open, they open them. And when I did see them, they were cooking them on an open flame. Like they had a gas grill because they had a little area we could see it cooking. And somebody must have ordered them, and they had the oysters like chilling on the flame, and the flame was going around, and they were just sitting on the oyster, and they were cooking them in there. And see, like that particular,
and that was on the half shell, or was that?
Yeah, on the actual half shell. Yeah, they were already opened and just cooking in there. And like the ones that were like charbroiled or whatever, or charcoal or whatever they called them, those on the outside of the shell were really black, like they could clearly like burnt up, and stuff like that. So the other ones I think were more baked. So I think I still think they steamed them, and then I think they opened them, and then I think they finished cooking them and baking them.
If you open a raw oyster, like if you just took an oyster and you opened it, wouldn't it kind of just slime out because it's not hard, or is it actually? Because you can taste it. I think it's not like I don't remember what they call it, but anyways,
I don't know how
raw oysters though.
I mean, I think you can. I don't, dude. I don't know, man. I don't know. I just know, dude. That's the mystery of the half shell.
I guess we're gonna have to crack that half shell and look it up ourselves.
I will say that is something I like to do on our bucket list, is to try to do that. Honestly,
that's gonna go along with that corned beef that we have since like episode 2 or 1.
We're there. We're basically there. So that was my meat section that it was very unique. That was different. A lot of times we're doing like smoky meats, and the barbecue was really good. And I think the reason I didn't put that in this section was just due to the fact that we talk about meat, that kind of smoky meat, all the time. It was phenomenal. The barbecue was phenomenal, but this place was the jewel of that town. In my opinion, that was the best place I had tried.
And what made you get the T-shirt from Slap Your Mama instead of at the half shell?
That is literally the best, like the only shirt like I could find, and I was like, "This is it." It's like, Kelly, I gotta get this. I have nothing else to get him, but like, so that's. When I say I looked, I mean we looked for like a day and a half. One afternoon and the next day.
Oh man, good.
I couldn't find anything.
You want to see the back of their shirt? Check out our Facebook page.
Yeah. So that was an experience, man. I'm glad I went.
It was really fun. Does sound like it.
But now I'm ready to go on a vacation together.
Hell yeah. Let's do this.
Yeah, man.
Man, it sounds like it was a very good vacation, and it sounded like from what Kelly was talking about and you guys talking about that you guys had a really good time though together as a couple with nobody around. So I think that was a good thing for both of you guys to do by yourselves, and without the little one and friends to tag along, me and everything else. I think that was great. I think it was a new experience. You got to see a town that probably nobody ever visits anymore, which is a shame.
Yeah,
because there probably was a peak in the time.
Well, my grandparents, my grandmother used to go there all the time. So my expectation this was a hustly bustly city. You know what I mean? Like lots to do, gambling, and it was not the same as I imagined.
That sucks, man. Because 2005, I mean, hell, I was on the West Coast when that happened, but that was not that really. What, 21? So it's you got 12 years? No, I'm not doing math right.
I mean, it's fine. I said 10 plus.
Yeah, 10 plus.
It's crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
Think about
that is pretty crazy. Yep. Ain't nothing there. Imagine how many people actually live there at that moment, and none of them are there anymore.
One of the guys said basically every house in the bottom 3 counties had to be rebuilt. Bottom 3 counties, which is also 3 counties that bring in the most income or most financial, like, money for Mississippi, because that's where all the beach and casinos and, of course, is.
So they bring in more than like where the college towns are?
Yeah, bottom 3 counties make all the money in Mississippi, like compared to other counties. And, and I think it still technically does, but I mean, a lot of their industry was wiped out bad.
Really bad. They're hurting. It sounds like they're hurting. That sucks, man. Well, we didn't want this podcast to be that depressing.
No.
But good night. That's just not good, man. That's not good. So, but anyways, I think that wraps up this podcast. How about you, Aaron?
I think it's good, man. I think they should check. I can tell you one thing. The audience needs to check out some of the good things, right? And that's some of the pictures and some of the food. Check out the place. Obviously, it'll be on the video that we do, but we'll try to post some stuff on Facebook and as well as our website. I got a lot of good stuff to show. And once your mouth will water when you see those pictures.
Oh, I think they'll be watering on the half shell.
Oh, yeah.
So, anyways, as always, you can find us thetailblazers.net. Find us there. Go to Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram at @thetailblazers. Look us up there. We'll be posting the video on YouTube, and we'll be posting it on our website. All the pictures Aaron said, and everything else. And then you can always look up past podcasts that we referenced today there also. And podcasts are on Spotify. Still working on iTunes. Don't know what's going on there. But we'll get it one day. We're still learning.
Yeah. Screw you, Apple.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. We appreciate it. Have a good one.